Buddy. Sorry for the late stream. I am here. Actually, hold on a minute. There we go. It's a lot better. Alright, we should be good now. Let me know if anyone is here. If you guys are here, let me know. We should be good. Um, don't mind me trying to adjust my hat. I never wear hats, so this is a new thing for me. Alright. Alright, you guys are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Carter, what's up? Welcome, Freddie. What's up? What's up with you guys? Hope you guys are doing good. Yeah. Today we are going to be talking about Thunderbolts, Marvel Studios Thunderbolts, aka New Avengers. So, if you are new here and you might not know, welcome to the channel. I'm Josh, aka JaceTheDon. I talk about Marvel, DC, animation, trying to tap into some video game stuff as well. Just a ton of different things. So if you guys like that kind of content, you like a variety of content and like to hear my voice, my nice and awesome cool voice, then hey, you're at the right place. For the further ado, let's talk Marvel Studios Thunderbolts, aka New Avengers. Now, this is going to be all spoilers, so again, if you haven't seen the movie, I highly suggest clicking off the stream, coming back, and checking it out then, because we will be discussing spoilers all in this discussion. So yeah, let's jump right on in. So Freddie, what's up, man? You said I saw the movie on Friday. It was awesome. That's awesome, man. I actually went to see the movie with a ton of my good friends on Saturday. We were going to go see it Friday, but things did not work out. So we got to see it on Saturday. I think it ultimately worked out that we got to see it on Saturday. I think it worked a lot better for our schedule. And it was great. It was great. I really enjoyed the movie. I really do say this in my title. Thunderbolts is a must-watch Marvel movie. Like, this is a must-watch Marvel movie. If you love movies about, learning about each character, and, we have an ensemble cast of characters. We have Yelena, we have Bucky, we have, Walker, we have Ghost, we have Taskmaster, even though Taskmaster, she's dead. She's, like, dead, like, 30 minutes into the movie, but we got her. We got Bob, aka Sentry, and things like that. So we got a ton of characters in here. We get to see them struggle. We get to see them overcome the odds and kind of learn the error of their ways. Some of the past things and traumatic events they have faced and experienced and are kind of overcoming. And I think this movie does a really good job, especially for people who are, deal with, mental illness, or as they say, like mental problems, or just things of the nature, depression, all those types of things. I think at one point everyone in their life has gone through some kind of depression or gone through some kind of guilt or shame or sadness about something in their life. So I like that this movie took that and twisted it on its head with using these villains and anti-heroes that we've seen and kind of building them up into becoming better people, becoming the new Avengers. So, one thing I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts about just the movie overall, what you guys thought. What was your favorite character within the movie? I think for me, my favorite character is definitely Bob. Sentry, I mean, Bob is the GOAT. Obviously, Yelena's star of the movie. Red Guardian, he's the heart of the movie. You know, U.S. Agent, we got John Walker, he's the comedian. Ghost, Ghost is kind of like that friend where she's kind of like always lurking in the background, but like she's always there. So I think that kind of worked for her in this film. Again, Taskmaster, she's dead, so it doesn't even matter about her. So Bucky, obviously Bucky is, Bucky's the cousin. The cousin that always shows up to the cookouts, and it's always going to be a good time because they're a veteran. and they got a lot of stories, they got a lot of things. So that one cousin's always going to have the knowledge and the brains in the group. And that's what Bucky Barnes is in this movie to me. And even when the scene with the limousine, right, when they're in Utah and Bucky shows up and everyone's like fanboying and fangirling over Bucky because he's a veteran. He's been in the game for this long. So I would imagine it must feel like oh wow, this is really him, like this is actually happening, we're legit seeing a legend here right now. And I would imagine some of the actors and stuff probably feel the same way too, so it's kind of playing on the nose with that a bit. Shout out to Sebastian Stan, man. I hope I can meet him and do an interview with him one day, because it'd be cool to kind of ask him about how it is for him being in Marvel for this long and playing the same character and how he's always finding new ways to innovate the character. So yeah, let's see what you guys are saying. Especially the post-credit scene where the Fantastic Four ship came and hitting Avengers Doomsday. Yeah, yeah, we're definitely gonna get into that. We're definitely gonna talk about that because that is something big, and I think there's some big implications with that we're definitely gonna get into. Carter, you said I love this movie as much as I love Brave New World. That's awesome. I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed Brave New World for what it was. I enjoyed this movie for what it was. Um, I will say I do think I enjoyed this movie just a little bit more, just a little bit more. But I think Brave New World is a good movie. It's an enjoyable movie. So that's really all I can say about that. Let's see. I like Bucky Barnes. Yeah, Bucky Barnes, man. He's a veteran. Like I said, he's a legend in the Marvel MCU streets. So anytime to see him is good. Seeing him throughout many projects and just kind of seeing his evolution from being the Winter Soldier, being a literal assassin, to literally being an anti-hero, to now going into his own and becoming a hero potentially with the new Avengers, with Avengers Doomsday we got coming up, Avengers Secret Wars. So I'm definitely looking forward to what that journey is going to be for him. Obviously, in the post-credit scene, we heard that him and Sam are not on the best of terms. They're not on the best of terms, and I think, and I said it in my review, but I think my reasoning is because Sam Wilson doesn't want the Avengers to be a government-funded group. He wants the Avengers to kind of be what they were before. But with, the new Avengers, it's kind of like, okay, well, we are a government funded group because now, you have Val, she's still lurking in the background. So she's still there throughout all of this. So it kind of adds that duality of what would the Avengers be like without being government funded, and then what would the Avengers be like if they were government funded. So it kind of brings that dynamic. So I wonder if we're going to get like a civil war between Sam's Avengers and Bucky's Avengers. And if so, I would like to hear you guys, what you guys think. Are you Team Sam? Are you Team Bucky? What side do you think would win that fight? If that was to happen in maybe like a Doomsday. Honestly, it would be dope if they did like a movie before Avengers Doomsday where it is like Team Sam, Team Bucky, and we get that fight before Doomsday. It would be something if we got like a movie in between, before Doomsday like that. I don't know if they are gonna do something like that. I don't think so. They're probably just gonna save it for Doomsday. But I think it would have been cool if we would have gotten like an Avengers versus New Avengers movie where they're kind of fighting each other, but then they have to realize towards the end, like, okay, we got to come to some common ground because there's a space crisis going on, and we have to figure out who this new family that just pulled up out of nowhere, where did they come from? So I would have liked to have had something like that. So yeah, I love U.S. Agent in this movie. Yeah, John Walker in this movie. And Falcon Winter Soldier, I was kind of like, oh, this guy's a jerk. He's a jughead. not to say I didn't like him. It was just like this guy's a jerk. He's just a jerk. You know what I mean? And I mean, even in this movie, he's like at first he's like a jerk. You know what I mean? Like he's saying a whole bunch of stuff towards Yelena and stuff, and Yelena's like, well, at least I wasn't the one, who was Captain America for like 2 seconds, and that definitely got under his skin, as you could tell. That definitely got under his skin, and then we find out about through Sentry, through Bob, through his past, that that really took a toll on him. What happened after Falcon and Winter Soldier, with him, taking out that guy in front of the public like that. That really took a toll on him and his family. That was all he could think about, was the fact that his actions caused this bad publicity run for him. And while his child is there and his wife is there, and he's not really too focused in on them, he's more focused in on the fact that I was Captain America and I blew it. So you kind of get a different aspect of John Walker in this movie. But over time, you start to see like he starts to kind of he still is a bit cocky in the movie. He's still cocky, but I don't think he is as cocky as he was at the beginning of the movie from what we saw from him. You said, I hate Val in the Thunderbolts. She really thinks she's so smart, but really she's a real villain of the story. Yeah, that's the thing about Val. Val is very sneaky. How many times have we seen Val get out of a situation? This is probably like the third or fourth time that she's gotten out of a sneaky situation. She did it in Black Widow. She did it in Wakanda Forever. She's doing it here in Thunderbolts. So you really start to see just how sneaky Val is. And we're gonna see more of Val for sure. Like we're definitely gonna see more of her. I think she's got more plans up her sleeve. So I don't think that's gonna be the last we see of Val. It would be really interesting. I don't know if they'll do it, but it would be really interesting to see Val team up with Kingpin. Seeing as Kingpin, he's getting out of some crazy situations himself. It would be really interesting to see those two team up in some way and just kind of cause chaos throughout New York. There's already chaos in New York as is, but just on a very restricted level where it's literally like no vigilantes, no heroes, no nothing. Just everything has to run by the government. I could see that being a big plot point maybe after Secret Wars. Everything just being heavily regulated by the government. I don't think that's anything Marvel has touched or tapped into on that aspect. So I would kind of like to see that, especially with the mutants coming in. I would like to see that being a big major plot point in the next saga. The government is just very heavily funded into what the heroes are doing, which is the opposite of what some people want. And that could cause a whole conflict between the heroes, again, within itself, just doing that. What's up, Caden? What's up, man? You're good. You're right on time. I'm glad you joined, man. I'm glad you joined. What's up, Carson? What's up, man? I know we talked today about Thunderbolts, New Avengers. I definitely want to know, where would you like to see the Thunderbolts going forward? And I guess that's a good question I could pose to everybody here on the stream too. Like what things would you like to see these characters do next? Like maybe even after Secret Wars. What storylines, what adventures, what things would you like to see these characters do after? I loved Sentry also. They did not nerf. Yeah. And I know that was like, yeah, they didn't nerf him. Like, I know that was like a big concern. That was a concern for me. I know that was like a big concern for my friend. Shout out to JV, my buddy. He's a big Sentry fan. He loves Sentry. That's his all-time favorite Marvel hero. And he was very concerned about, Sentry being nerfed in this film. And he went to go see it sometime this week, and I told him like, hey man, like right after I seen the movie, I was like, hey man, they did right by Sentry. That's all I'm gonna say. That's what I told him. I said, once you see the movie, they're gonna do right by him. So I actually talked to him the other day, and we had a good conversation and stuff. So he said like, "Hey man, you were right. They did my boy Sentry proud." I was like, I told you they're gonna do him proud." So yeah. Hey, what's up, Kendrick? What's up, man? We went to go see the movie Saturday, and I know you told me like what you thought of the movie and whatnot. So I'd like to know, like, what are some things you would like to see with these characters moving forward? What would you like to see happen with? Because we know they're gonna show up in Avengers Doomsday. Like we saw the chair watch, we saw the post credit scene. We know where that's gonna go. But what would you like to see their story going forward into the Avengers films? You know, I heard rumors that Tobey Maguire is going to be Avengers Doomsday as OG Spider-Man. That would be cool. I mean, hey, I don't know too much about that rumor. I mean, I've definitely have heard that they want to try to get all the characters together, back together for it, if not Doomsday, at least Secret Wars. So I definitely could see a possibility that we could see like a Toby and Andrew at some point. Rather it's in Doomsday, rather it's in Secret Wars, that's something we'll have to find out. But I wouldn't I wouldn't put it past them to try to, connect that universe in with this new universe as well, to kind of tie up everything from the legacy characters and kind of move into the new era of Marvel. So I definitely see that being a possibility. Only time will tell. Honestly, surprise me. That's all I can say with Marvel as of lately. Surprise me. G- there's so many unexpected things that could happen that we don't even know about. They're filming Avengers Doomsday right now as we speak. We don't know what's going on, and honestly, I don't want to know what's going on with the movie. I just want to be surprised. So next year, because obviously it's coming out next year, same month as GTA 6, which very excited for GTA 6. May of next year is going to be a busy month for Marvel and GTA fans alike, and it's just going to be really awesome to just kind of go to a Avengers movie. That's probably going to be like my fourth, not my fourth Avengers movie, but it's definitely going to be like my at least third or fourth Avengers movie that I've seen. Because I went to go see the first one with my dad in 2012. Obviously, Age of Ultron went to go see. Avengers Infinity War and Endgame obviously went to go see those. You can count this as an Avengers film. Thunderbolts is an Avengers film, so you can count it as that. So technically, five. And then we got Doomsday and Secret Wars, so that's technically seven Avengers movies right there. So it would be cool to just see those two Avengers movies as well, and just kind of see the impact of these films. I think there's going to be some big impacts with these films. I think oftentimes we get so caught up in what if they're not able to recapture the magic of a certain movie, but I think that this time it's going to be different. Obviously, it's going to be a different experience because, again, it's a different movie, different storyline. But I think there's going to be some iconic moments in these Avengers movies that are going to make people look back and say, like, wow, that was insane. I can't believe they did that. And I know there's a lot of people right now who went to see Thunderbolts that are kind of like, oh, wow, I didn't expect Marvel to go that route. I didn't expect for them to do that. And it's just really a testament of just letting the story play out and just kind of seeing where it goes. We all have our theories, we all have things that we would like to see, but I think at the same time, it's awesome to kind of see, like, okay, what direction are they going? Trying to figure that out. So, yeah. I do see a U.S. Agent Solo Disney Plus series, him as a hero. What do you think? I mean, that would be interesting. Kind of, again, just that evolution from when we got introduced to him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier up to now where he's more of a redeeming himself. Maybe this is his way to redeem himself. Obviously, he can't be Captain America because Sam Wilson is that. But maybe he could be sort of a maybe he could be sort of in his own way, his own what he really could have been as Captain America, but just better. You know what I mean? When redeeming himself, maybe that kind of push to being a part of an Avengers team, and then kind of going on his own journey and kind of finding out like, okay, that was my problem. I spent too much time being Captain America. I should be US agent. What would US agent be like for me? How would I go about being US agent? So yeah, when I saw the trailer of the Fantastic Four, I was blown away. It's like a retro 1960s, yeah, retro futuristic 1960s. Their suits were amazing. Now that now that they're comic accurate, yeah, yeah, Fantastic Four. I'm very much looking forward to, especially after that post-credit scene. I mean that's enough to just get you excited even more. And when I tell you that Fantastic Four theme hit, it felt so good to hear that. Like every time I hear that Fantastic Four theme, it just feels like I am floating to the cosmos. No pun intended, but it feels that way because Michael Giacchino, Michael Giacchino is a goat in the industry. Not only has he composed music, he's directed films. I mean, it, he doesn't get talked about enough as I see like as a pillar in modern day Hollywood for me. So shout out to Michael Giacchino, just doing the thing always. So again, hearing that theme, seeing their spaceship, which I have a theory, and I know you guys have probably seen the theory as well. I'm sure there's plenty of videos out there. But I don't think the Fantastic Four are alone on that ship. Now, rather, they bring people from their universe over to the 616 MCU universe. That's something we'll have to find out. But I do think we have someone else on that ship, and I think that someone else is Victor Von Doom. I have a strong feeling that Victor is on that ship with them. And this is going to be probably our way of how we get Doctor Doom into our 616 universe. I think that's how it's going to happen. Again, that's just a theory, but it would make sense, you know? It would only make sense. And a reason why, because I do see Marvel Studios doing more with US Agent. Definitely, definitely. I love the movie Thunderbolts. Yeah, man, I love it too. I love it too. I had a great time watching it with you and everyone else. And it was just a great experience. And I can't wait to see more movies because I know we're going to go see more movies. So I can't wait to see more movies with you and the rest of the crew and just kind of theorizing what we think is going to happen next with all of this because that's the fun part about all of this is when you finally go see the movie it's like okay now we can really get into that bag of theorizing what happens next, where do we go from here. That's always the fun part. I would love to see them in more superhero movies to come like the Avengers. They are the new Avengers. Exactly, that is true. They are the new Avengers, so it would only make sense for them to show up in other movies. I do have a feeling we will see them again. Maybe they're in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. You know, maybe that's going to be their way to kind of connect that post-credit scene to maybe the one in Fantastic Four. So maybe the Fantastic Four, they literally land their ship onto 616. Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian, everybody greets the Fantastic Four. Maybe they're kind of like, who are you? And then maybe Reed Richards is like, we're the Fantastic Four. Or maybe they could do a thing. And this would be kind of something that I could definitely see them doing. But maybe they kind of hold off on Reed Richards saying we're the Fantastic Four. So maybe that could be like a big moment in Doomsday where maybe Reed does say we're the Fantastic Four. So maybe they could do like a jump cut where it's like Yelena asks like, "Okay, who are you guys?" And then Reed Richards is like, "Well, we're the," and then it cuts to the Fantastic Four music with the logo and all of that, and it kind of says like, "Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday." Though obviously we already know they are, like we know that they are due to the chair watch, but I could see them doing something like that to kind of again just tie all the pieces together with that. Um, I wonder if they are greeted by the new Avengers. Could they be greeted by Sam Wilson? I mean, there's so many different avenues that they could go with that. But I think it would make sense for them to meet the new Avengers and then kind of establish, like, okay, there's another Avengers team out there too. But I'm glad you met us, the new Avengers, because we're the cooler team. So who knows? Maybe the Fantastic Four are teamed up with the new Avengers. So they haven't met Sam Wilson's Avengers yet. So that kind of adds a little, adds more stake to it because now it's like, well, dang, my Avengers team, we met someone outside of the universe. Sam, your team wasn't able to catch them, but we were. So that adds just a little bit more of a dramatic effect to that. Again, if they decide to go the Civil War route with that, it would be interesting. Sentry is awesome. My first time seeing this character in action was amazing. Yeah, Sentry, if you read up on Sentry, he has a long list of powers. Like his power set is ridiculous. He's one of the most cracked, like stacked power scale characters in Marvel. Like really, like he can teleport, he can read minds, he can there's so much that Sentry can do. It's insane, and only there's only been a few people that have been able to beat Sentry in the comics, at least. There's only been a few people. So in a way, for them to introduce Sentry and do it and not a fully comic accurate way, which not everything comic accurate is good, if that makes sense. But doing it in such a way that it's easier for people who may not know about the character, like you. Like you didn't know much about the character before this movie, but for you now you're kind of like, oh wow, well that's an interesting way to introduce him. So I like how they were able to introduce Sentry and even the Void. I mean, the Void gets crazy, like it gets very crazy, like in the comics and stuff, and we've only touched the surface of Sentry and what he can do. And I think with Doomsday, we're gonna see more of his powers. We're gonna see more of him doing more of the stuff that people might not have known about Sentry. They gave you just a little bit of a taste, but I think we're gonna get more with Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. I can see Sentry being a character past Secret Wars that they could do some focus on, maybe like a solo Sentry movie. I think a solo Sentry movie would be really cool. Maybe see him going on some kind of mission that maybe he wants to go on his own solo mission without the new Avengers. They could do something like that. Maybe a Sentry Disney Plus show. Maybe they could do that. There's so many avenues that they could do with Sentry as a character and interactions. You know, him and Thor, him and Hulk, him and Spider-Man, him and the X-Men. There's so many interactions that that character can have. Him and Moon Knight would be a really dope one because with Sentry and him being schizophrenic, and then you have Moon Knight who has the multiple personality thing going on. It would be really interesting to see how those two collide. I think they would make a good team. So again, possibilities are endless. They're endless. On the first video, we saw uh, The X-Men. Oh, really? Is that for like the? I'm guessing that's like from Doomsday, right? I'm guessing so. Something about the X mentioned. Well, that would be insane if that is true. That would be insane. Thomas, what's up, man? You said we are apparently getting another set of cast announcements tomorrow. More chairs. I did hear about that. I heard Brie Larson. Someone asked Brie Larson, "Hey, are you gonna be in Doomsday?" And she said, "Well, find out more Thursday." So if we are getting some more chair announcements tomorrow, that's gonna be fun. I wish I could stream that. If they are doing another one, I wish I could stream it. I wish I would have been able to stream the other one, but I just don't have this setup. I wish I had the proper setup to do this, because if I did, I would. Because that was fun. I was on a call with my buddies on Discord, and we stayed that entire 5 hours trying to figure out who's gonna be next revealed on the chairs and stuff. So it was really fun having to guesstimate and take a guess and theorize, and then just hearing the music of these characters and stuff, and then just freaking out like when they played the X-Men 97 music, because they don't have an X-Men, well, they have an X-Men theme for the live action films, but I think they used the X-Men 97 music because literally the X-Men animated series theme is so iconic that, anytime people hear or think of the X-Men, it's that theme that people hear. So just hearing that, and then just seeing, Patrick Stewart, and then, Ian McKellar and James Marsden just all being revealed on the chairs was just one of those moments where it was like, oh snap, they're doing it. Like, that is insane that they would reveal this right now. So if we are getting something like that tomorrow, I will definitely be tuned in. I will make sure that other people know as well, so we can all be tuned in, because if this is happening, it's definitely a must see. If so, tomorrow's gonna be busy, because the Mafia, the Old Country gameplay is gonna be coming out at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Then they have a panel at PAX East at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So tomorrow's gonna be busy if that's the case. Sentry is as strong as comic Superman strength wise. I didn't know that. I didn't know as how strong Sentry was, but now that you say that, I really want to dive into some Sentry comics. So, Thomas, if you have any like Sentry comics that you would recommend, let me know. Like, let me know some Sentry comics, because I would be down to check out, just learn more about Sentry, learn more about his power set and stuff like that. Because I know a few things. Like, I know he faced off with Thor. I know he faced off with Hulk, and I know that obviously, God, what's his name? Noel. I know Noel ripped him to shreds in the comics like not too long ago, but I don't really know too much more as far as that. Doctor Doom can beat Sentry in Avengers Doomsday. I'm just saying. I think I think it would be a matter of, because again, Sentry is a very powerful creature, not creature, a very powerful hero. Why say creature? Sentry is a very powerful hero, but I think the way that Doctor Doom is going to be able to beat him is psychologically, because I feel like Doctor Doom he's that intelligent where I feel like he could use the psychological side of Sentry, kind of tap into that. You're not as powerful as you think you are. I can control your power. I know more of your power than you do. You're not aware of how much power you have, but I do. Like, he can really tap into that psychological aspect of Sentry. And then even more, this is going to cause Sentry to go on more of a mental journey within himself, because he's like, okay, how powerful am I? How powerful can I be? Can I really beat Doom? Though we obviously know he's very powerful, he could beat Doom. Like, I'm sure Sentry, it would be no problem for Sentry to beat Doctor Doom. But I feel like, again, the psychological aspect of that is what's going to weaken Sentry from not being able to really use his power against Doom. Because if so, I feel like it would just be an easy, like, it would be an easy fight. You know what I mean? And that would be like, okay, what's the point of Doomsday and Secret Wars now if Sentry can literally just one hit kill, Doctor Doom, you know? Hey, Lashonda, what's up? Welcome to the stream. We're just talking about Thunderbolts and whatnot. So let me know. Let me know what you thought of the film. Thomas, you said in a live-action Spider-Man battle royale, MCU Spidey wins. He has more scaling feats, like with MCU Super Soldiers, Giant Man, and Thanos twice. Okay. So So in this case, with MCU wise, Spider-Man would probably be more powerful than Sentry in this case. I guess for the reasons you said, because his power scaling is a lot more different than opposed to other heroes that we have seen. That makes sense. That makes sense, because they don't always go by the power scalings of characters in the comics, because each certain characters are a little bit more powerful than in the comics than what they are in the Marvel movies, and some of the characters are a little bit more weaker in the comics than they are in the Marvel movies. It just depends on probably the story narrative and where they want to go, but I could see MCU Spidey maybe taking on like a Sentry because again, for those reasons, like you said, his power scaling is a little bit more higher than most Marvel characters MCU wise. I mean, that would be an interesting fight there. Sentry versus Spider Man. Who would win? Like I said, there's a lot of possibilities they can really go with Sentry, and with Sentry being introduced, who says we're not close to seeing Hyperion at some point? Because Hyperion, I heard, is like he's also very broken from what I heard. I don't know much about Hyperion, but I've heard that he's a very broken character too. So they have the power now. We're getting into that era where they can introduce those characters. I'm saying Rami Spidey and Tasm Spidey doesn't have the power scaling that MCU Spidey has. Yeah, I could, I could definitely see that point because I do feel like with Toby and Andrew, I feel like they did have power, but they as far as like power level to like the full potential, I think yeah, Tom has probably has that more. Um, Obviously Toby has the wisdom. I think Toby has the wisdom that Tom doesn't have, and I think Andrew has more of the agility than Tom has, but I definitely see that point. I liked it. I'm not familiar with all the characters, but I like the message. Yeah, I like the message in the movie as well. Like I said, anyone that's going through any kind of like you know, uh, mental illness, anything of that kind, depression, bipolar, all those things, I feel like this is a really good movie to kind of help people, who relate to those sort of things. I won't go too far into like my life, but I definitely will say that when I was younger, I definitely went through a lot of depression, and this movie kind of hit home for me because a lot of those feelings that some of these characters were feeling, I felt them at one point. Felt like a void, and I liked how they took that the metaphor of the void as shame, sadness, anger, frustration, disappointment, all that. They took all of that into account when it comes to the void. I have heard and seen a lot of people that said like, it would have been nicer if we got like 20 more minutes to kind of explore each character's void. And to that, I definitely understand that, and to some degree, I definitely agree. I think it would have been nice that we would have seen, like, Red Guardians. What would his void have been? What would John Walker's void would have been? What would have Ghost's void would have been? I definitely understand that sentiment, and I do feel like if they probably were given the extra 20 minutes, I think we definitely would have gotten more of their side. But I understand for maybe narrative and probably time constraints, they probably weren't able to maybe include that. So kind of makes you wonder, what is the deleted scenes? What kind of deleted scenes, if there is any for this film, what are they? What scenes did we not get? What things happened that we didn't see that could maybe have added more, a little bit more context to the story? Sam Wilson, Captain America, Bucky, U.S. Agent versus Chris Evans, Captain Hydra, and Avengers Doomsday is going to be crazy emotional, which is more likely now thanks to Chris Claremont. Yeah, I did see Chris Claremont. He did say some stuff. Is it true? Is it not true? That's something we'll have to see. I do think it's kind of odd though that he did say that. I don't know if maybe he was joking about all that, or maybe he just straight out just said like, yeah, this and this and this and this is happening in the movie, which I'm kind of like, I wouldn't have done that. That's not good. I would advise not to do that, but maybe maybe Marvel told him to say that. Maybe they are playing more into the misdirection of things because remember with Deadpool Wolverine, there was a lot of rumors and stuff out there about certain characters appearing in that movie, and it didn't happen. People were saying like obviously Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider was going to appear in it, but I think for scheduling reasons it just didn't happen, so they cut it. But then there was like people saying like, oh, Holly Berry Storm is gonna be in there, and uh all these other characters, and that wasn't the case. We got Wesley Snipes and Jennifer Gardner and Daphne Keene and Channing Tatum, but all the other characters we didn't get, so that was kind of their way of misdirecting the audience. And I could definitely see there being a case where Marvel does a lot of misdirection with these Avengers films. Obviously, I feel like they wanted to go ahead and get the hammer out of the way and at least announce half of the cast for Avengers Doomsday. And like you said, Thomas, if this is true, if they are going to be announcing more cast tomorrow, then I definitely think it's going to be interesting to, as far as the characters we could expect, but also the characters that they're probably going to save for surprise. And then we could probably go from there and kind of get at least a little bit of a glimpse of what we could expect, what we could see. So yeah, if it does happen, that fight, it happens. If it doesn't, we will have to see. She said Tom's Spidey also has better experience than Toby's. Toby's Spidey hasn't faced anyone like Thanos or Giant Man, or MCU super soldiers like Steve, John, Flag Smashers, Red Guardian, Bucky. That is true. And also like that's kind of also the kind of unfortunate thing about Toby's Spider-Man is that we weren't able to really live out the full potential. You know what I mean? Like we were obviously going to get a fourth Spider-Man movie and we see how that turned out. That got canceled, which is unfortunate because I really do feel like with that fourth movie, they could have really brought in some of different characters, like strong, characters that Toby could go against. Not saying that Green Goblin wasn't strong, but obviously Green Goblin, he's more of a mental hero than he is strength wise. You know, Dr. Octavius, he's more of the technological, sciencey type villain, so he doesn't really have this strength like, a you know, um like a super soldier or a Thor or something like that, you know? Toby's Spidey fell from a 5-story building. From what I remember, broke his back. Tom's Spidey scales to Steve and Bucky, who scale to each other, and Red Guardian and other super soldiers. Red Guardian survived a fall from Avengers Tower top floors. Yeah, he did. That is true. He did. So I think it all had to. I think if Toby's Spider-Man would have been under Marvel, like if Marvel had not gone bankrupt, if Marvel had not sewn the rights to Sony, I think he would have definitely interacted with, a Thor or, you know, or like I said, a powerful character, someone who has power, right? I feel like he would be a lot more on the stronger power scale. Same with, Andrew Garfield's. I feel like if it was more tied to, Marvel, if they had, again, if the circumstance had been different, I think their Spider-Man would have been able to have shown a much bigger power scale as far as that. And I do think Tom, as far as like power scale wise, we're seeing what we didn't see beforehand with those, and I think that's what makes Tom Holland's Spider-Man different from previous iterations, is that we haven't really seen that power scale like that, at least on the live action side. Obviously, animation, there's been plenty of Spider-Man shows, animation wise, that we've seen his power scale. We've seen how strong he can be. We see how powerful he can be. Even on the comic side, we've seen that, generations of that. But as far as like live action, I think Tom's, yeah. While I do feel that Tom's Spider-Man has a lot of room to grow. He has a lot of room to grow. I'm still not the biggest fan of his iteration, and it's nothing against Tom Holland like at all. Like he's doing with what he can with where he has to work with. But I just don't think introducing Spider-Man as a Iron Man protege, I don't think that's a good idea. Because Spider-Man is a character that, he started out on his own. He didn't have any handouts. He didn't have any, you know, anybody that like elevated him, made a suit for him, all this stuff. Like he had to do all that himself. He had to learn how to be his own hero. And that took a lot of adversity, a lot of hardships, a lot of sacrifices. And I just felt like for the longest, Tom Holland's Spider Man really didn't have a sacrifice until No Way Home. I feel like No Way Home is when he started to really have a sacrifice that felt detriment to his character, you know. So I'm hoping with this new trilogy that they really do show, like, yeah, that this Spider-Man, he's different from what we know before. He's grown a lot. He's matured a lot. He's learned a lot. He's experienced a lot since we last seen him. Sentry has been invincible. That's actually hilarious, you saying that, because Steven Yeun was actually going to play Sentry before they recasted Lewis Pullman. And I like Steven Yeun. I like him as an actor, but I just don't think Sentry fit for him. I don't think that role fits him. Lewis Pullman, I think he did a phenomenal job as Sentry. I think they couldn't have recasted anyone better than Lewis Pullman for the role. And I just think Lewis Pullman just fits the character a lot more than I think Steven Yeun would have. But again, that's no shade to Steven Yeun. I think he's a cool actor, and I think he's done a lot of good roles. But I just don't think that role fits him. So with that being said, I do think Steven Yeun could play a character in Marvel. Some other character he could probably play, or maybe a character from DC. things like that. But so far he is the voice actor for Invincible, so I could kind of see why they maybe casted him because his work in Invincible. Because but I just again I think they made the right choice with having Lewis Pullman as Sentry. I do. Since Kevin Feige is stepping away from Marvel Disney Plus shows, that does not mean they'll stop making them. And someone else is doing them. And I swear some fans just twist the story. Yeah, they're not ending Disney Plus shows. Like Brad Winterbaum has been on many interviews and he's talked about wanting to do more shows. Like, we got the Nova show that, they want to try to get off the ground, Champions, Young Avengers Champions. There's been talks of that. Um, there's been talks of some other stuff, projects too. I know Scarlett Johansson, I think she's still working on a Marvel project. I think she's either directing that or co-producing that. I heard that that was for Phantom Blonde. I think it's Phantom Blonde, but I might be wrong. That might be an old report, but I did hear about something like that a while ago. So we got that. I think we got the Punisher special presentation that's coming out next year. We got obviously Daredevil Born Again season 2, the Vision Quest show. So I think they still want to do Marvel Television, but I just think they're going to have a concrete plan of what they want to do with Marvel Television. It's not going to be sort of this thing where it's like a bunch of random characters get a TV show. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be something within reason that gives a reason for this particular character or these particular set of characters to have their own series and we follow a journey within them. So Marvel Television isn't going anywhere. I think they're just going to reassess what heroes should get a show and what purpose of this show do we want to display. I think that's what they want to do. Because I mean, they're getting into, like I said, after Secret Wars, this is the X-Men era. The X-Men era is coming. You know, it's coming. So they're probably going to do some X-Men TV shows of some type. I have a feeling that's going to happen. Rather, it's maybe like I don't know. I don't know who they could do like a solo TV series on, but maybe they could do one for X Factor, like a X Factor TV series. I think X Factor would be a good group of characters that I could see with a TV series that they could probably do multiple seasons for, and things like that. So obviously they probably have a lot of ideas for TV shows that they wanted to do. Obviously, we saw like with Marvel Animation, we saw that they had an idea for, Tony Stark's daughter Morgan to have a show. Was it Iron Man 3000? I think that's what it was called, Iron Man 3000 or something like that. And we saw the concept art that had come out. It was like on Deviant Art, and it was kind of like a speed racer, the old 90s, like early days anime type show is kind of the vibe I got from the concept art. Obviously, I think that got scrapped, but we obviously know that they still have a ton of ideas of shows that they probably want to do, but they just want it to make sense. Because again, you don't want to just have any random Marvel character just get a show just because. It has to make sense narratively, you know? Because if that's the case, let's get a Disney Plus show about Aunt May. Let's learn about Aunt May before Peter Parker was born. Although that would be kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie. That would be kind of interesting to learn about Aunt May, what she was doing, and Peter Parker's parents before we get to, Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. That would be kind of cool, but I don't think that's really needed. I don't think that's really needed as a Disney Plus show. Tom's Spidey also survive attacks from Thanos, who can take out the Hulk in 3 hits. Yeah, like yeah. He's very powerful for what he is. Very powerful, very powerful. And Invincible and Sentry will be equal in a fight. No, I don't think so. I think Invincible, yes, Invincible, he's powerful, but I don't think he's as powerful, and I don't believe he's as powerful as Sentry. I think Sentry would definitely, it would definitely be a good fight between the two, but I just see Sentry ultimately just winning the fight as a whole. Like I don't even know if it would really even be a contest, because again, Sentry has a set, like a long set of power and skills and abilities that he's able to do. Yeah, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man seasons 2 and 3, X-Men '97 season 2 and 3. So yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff on the Marvel television and animation side. So that side's not going anywhere. They're not going to get rid of that. They're just going to do less of it and only do it when it makes sense for certain characters. And that I can appreciate. I can appreciate that. Yeah, Invincible. A friend put me onto that not too long ago. Yeah, Invincible's great, man. Invincible's great, especially this latest season. This latest season was insane, especially with Conquest. That fight he had with Conquest was just insane. Conquest was no joke. He's no joke as well, too, when you read about him. But all I'm gonna say is I've read a little bit after the Conquest thing. All I can say is it gets crazier from here. So when we get season 4, it's only gonna get crazier from there. So definitely curious as far as what they're gonna do with season 4 of Invincible. I don't know if that is coming. Is Invincible season 4 coming out next year? I feel like it would come out next year though. So we probably might hear something about it later on this year. I wouldn't be surprised. I like Sam Alexander's Nova as much as I do Richard Rider's Nova. I don't know too much about Richard Rider's Nova, but I do know a good amount of like Sam Alexander. So if you were to choose, I'm gonna ask you, if Marvel was to come up to you and ask you, like, hey, we want to do a Nova series, which Nova would you pick? Or would you do a show that has both versions of Nova, in the show? So kind of like how they're doing with Lanterns on the DC side. We got Hal Jordan and John Stewart working together. Would you do that for both of the Novas, or would you just have your preferred Nova just have their own show? And also, since Nova is one of my favorite heroes from the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe. Yeah, like I said, I don't know too much about the cosmic side of Marvel. Like I said, I know a few characters. Obviously, Captain Marvel, Fantastic Four, Nova, Blue Marvel, things like that. But I don't really know like too much. The cosmic side hasn't really been the side of Marvel. The cosmic side has always been the hardest for me to get into, because I feel like the cosmic side can go a little crazy sometimes, and I know the other sides of Marvel can get a little crazy sometimes too. But the cosmic side could go like on just another level of just insane craziness that it's like, wait, when did this space war happen? When did Nova, get captured by, this villain over here? Like, when did that happen? So it's a whole thing, but maybe I need to get into the cosmic side, especially with the Fantastic Four coming up. Maybe I should read some Fantastic Four. I've read some Fantastic Four comics, but I haven't really dived too deep into the Fantastic Four comics, so I don't really know too deep into the lore of the Fantastic Four. But maybe I should. I want to start at the beginning. I want to read the classic Fantastic Four stories. There's a good channel. There's a not a role playing channel, but there's a channel they do comic dubs, and they hit my recommended feed. And I guess because the Fantastic Four movie is like a big popular thing, that their video like hit my recommended feed, and it's basically that a whole bunch of like talented voice actors, like these voice actors like very talented, and they did like the Doomsday storyline with Silver Surfer, coming to their universe. Obviously you get Silver Surfer. Galactus is not too far behind. They did that story, and every single actor and voice actress in that video like did such a phenomenal job of it reminded me so much of like the Fantastic Four cartoon that came on Boomerang, while also having that Stan Lee, like if they had did like a radio show for the Fantastic Four, that's how it would have felt, I would imagine, if they did a radio show back then. you know. And they did a radio show for Superman and Batman back in the day, but I don't know if Marvel really did like a radio show for like maybe Fantastic Four or Spider-Man or something, but online, there's tons of comic dubs up there of people, just voicing the characters and stuff, and it's really fun to kind of hear it. So if I can find that video, maybe I might link that I could actually try to maybe link that video for you guys. If you guys want to get into the Fantastic Four hype of things, then you guys could probably check out that video, and it just gives you more of like just gives you something to be hype about, because Fantastic Four is the next Marvel movie that we're going to get. And obviously, with the post-credit scene, everyone's been talking about the Fantastic Four, and just kind of like, where do we go from here? You said both versions of Nova. Okay, so you want both versions in the show. You would have it like Lanterns. You would have your Hal Jordan, your John Stewart, but you would do it with Richard and Sam. Okay, I like that idea. I like that idea. So who knows? Maybe we might get that. Maybe it could be, instead of Nova, maybe it's Nova Corps or something like that. So I'm with that. Marvel fan, what's up, man? What's up? We're talking Thunderbolts. I want to hear your thoughts on the Thunderbolts. What do you think of the show? I mean, not the show. What do you think of the movies? What did you think of the movie? What were some of your favorite moments? What did you think of Sentry? What do you think about the new name, the new Avengers? All that. I definitely want to hear. Also, post-credit scene. I got to hear your thoughts on the post-credit scene. They both fight Sam's father, former partner, the Space Tiger. Yeah. Wait, they do? See, I didn't know that. See, if they go that route, then that's something right there. You got your villain right there, Space Tiger. So there you go. Who will be Silver Surfer and Fantastic Four? I forgot the actress's name, but she's going to be playing the female version of Silver Surfer, because they're going to do something different. Obviously, we're going to get a male Silver Surfer at some point. We haven't seen him. Who knows? We might see him in this movie. We don't really know where the movie could go, but obviously, Shala Ball, I think that's her name. The comic, uh, the comic Silver Surfer. But as far as like the actress, her name is Julia something. She was in a show. I seen her in a show. Julia Gardner, that's her name. Julia Gardner. She's gonna be playing Shala Ball again. And yeah, that's the female Silver Surfer, which the Silver Surfer can go to. It doesn't matter, that title could go to anyone. It's gone to a few people before, so it's not a new concept. It's been around, but I would imagine they just wanted to do something different because we've seen the Norman Reedus version of, Silver Surfer so much, they kind of wanted to switch it up. Not Norman Reedus, what's his name? You guys know who I'm talking about. Silver Surfer. His real name. Norman Rad. That's his name. Norman Reedus is an actor. What am I talking about? Can't be on for too long. And Thunderbolts is one of my all-time favorite Marvel movies, top 7 for sure. Oh wow. That's dope. That is huge. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Were there any aspects of the Thunderbolts that you enjoyed? Before you go, I definitely would love to know, were there any aspects about the Fantastic Four that you Fantastic Four. The Thunderbolts that you enjoyed. Fantastic Four is in my brain right now. Katie said there was a Fantastic Four radio show back in the early 70s. It was released on Jack Kirby's birthday. Really? I might have to look that up then. I might have to look that up. I wonder if there's any documentation of that on YouTube. I'm pretty sure there is. YouTube has everything. I was going back and looking back at some of the because Stan Lee, he used to have a show where he would bring on comic book artists, and he had Jim Lee on there. He had John Romita Sr., two of my favorite comic book artists of all time. He had like a younger Todd McFarlane on there and stuff like that, and he would have them on talking about comics, how they got introduced into comics and drawing, and he would have them draw characters and whatnot. It was like a little program that they used to have, and I saw it on YouTube, and I watched like all of them, and I was like, why didn't they do more of this? This was cool. Like, obviously we know Stan is the man, right? Like Stan the man, man with the plan. But it was cool just seeing Stan Lee, and like, it was just like a different like, he was just like in a different mode there. Like he wasn't trying to obviously be like the spokesperson for Marvel, like he is a spokesperson, but it felt interesting him just kind of being like an interviewer, just kind of diving into the minds of the comic book artist at the time and stuff. And it just felt like really cool to see him get more into that side of what I would imagine it was like for him, working at Marvel at in his youth age. Sure, post credit scene was insane. Yeah, definitely was insane with Stan Lee. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I'll see. There's probably some of it on YouTube. The whole theme, I like how it was deeply about mental health. Yeah, the mental health aspect of the movie, it's the big shining point of the movie for sure. Like I said, each and every single character in the movie is going through some kind of mental health, some kind of mental situation, whether it's depression, regret, shame, grief, anger, frustration, disappointment, resentment, any of that, like it's all there, and it's just all handled just so well. Like Yelena and, Alexei, right? Like the father and daughter, bond. You know, Yelena being upset at her father for not speaking to her, you know, you didn't speak to me. You didn't ask about me, you know? And you can tell she's clearly hurt about that because she loves her father. Now, yeah, her father might get on her nerves and maybe embarrass her, yes, but at the end of the day, that's still her father and she still loves him, and you can see that. But then later on in the movie, we see him trying to make that wrong or right, and he's like talking to her and giving her the words of advice and wisdom, and she crying, she's crying to him, and he's getting emotional with her, and he hugs her. And I think that's, when we get that scene with Sentry, when we get that scene with Bob fighting his darker half, and you see Yelena's the first one to hug him, I think that was a synonymous scene to what we saw with Yelena and Red Guardian, with them hugging before the void, just taking over everything, right? And then that's probably my favorite scene of that movie is, again, Bob just fighting his darker half, and then just Yelena and Bucky and Red Guardian and Ghost, and everyone's hugging him, like crowding around him. It's like, we got you, bro. Like, we got you. We're here for you. Like, I love moments like that, and that the way they display that was just, it was a beautiful thing. It was a very beautiful thing, and it just goes to show you that we're never alone in this life. Like, we're all going through something. We're all going through some kind of thing. But when we're able to be there for each other and work it out, you know, nothing can stop us. You know what I mean? Like, we're untouchable when we work together. So, what do you think of U.S. Agents Arc? And oh, you guys are talking about it. I really like it, but I wish we got more scenes. Yeah, I definitely understand. Like, I was talking about that earlier, and I saw like a lot of people saying like, I wish we would have got more scenes, especially during the void with each character. And like I said, like, I definitely feel like if they gave like 20 more minutes, just 20 more minutes in the film, just to explore like Walker's, trauma, Ghost's trauma. Although we know about these characters from the past movies and TV shows, but just giving us a little bit more about their trauma and how they were able to face that in the void would have been cool. And they wouldn't have had to maybe do too much with that, because they could have done like a split screen scenario where we could maybe see each of them kind of face that and switch between each character, right? Like, they could have done that, and I think, again, with extra time, I think they would have done that. Yeah, Red Guardian, he's hilarious in the movie. He is hilarious. Like, there's so many scenes with Red Guardian that just made me laugh. Like, with him in the limo and he's like yelling at Yelena out in the desert. It is funny. It is so funny just how much he embarrasses his daughter, but at the same time he does it because he loves his daughter. And it's so sweet but so funny at the same time. Then you have the whole thing with the Thunderbolts, story with the soccer team, and, her being a goalie, and it was just always what she wanted to be. Like, even though it's a funny story, there's a heartfelt message even within that story with him telling that, and just them accepting the name Thunderbolts over time. They kind of just accepted it, you know? They kind of just accepted it, and then when they're hit with the new Avengers, it's like, in a way, I was kind of like, oh, dang, I kind of like them as the Thunderbolts. But now that they're the new Avengers, it's like, okay, let's see where they take them. Yeah, the limo scene is so funny. Do you think the Taskmaster should have died of that? I think my thing with the Taskmaster is I just don't think they did a good job with introducing her in, Black Widow. And I think it rubbed people the wrong way because of just how she was done and just how she was introduced. That I feel like they kind of maybe heard feedback online from what people were saying, and they were just like, you know what, we're just gonna kill her off. So they just killed her off. I feel like this just gives them the leeway to bring in the, you know OG version of Taskmaster, that who knows, maybe we could see in a potential maybe Spider-Man film or something in the future. That just gives them the opportunity to bring in the OG Taskmaster. But yeah, not even 30 minutes into the movie and she's like gone. Like, just a bullet to the dome, and she was done. Like, there was nothing else she could do about that. Yeah, the soccer team story. Yeah, it was it was so funny how he told the soccer team story, and it was just like a running gag throughout the movie with the whole Thunderbolts name. So again, like Red Guardian, he's just not only is he funny, but he's the heart of this movie too. Because when Sam kind of captures them to recruit them to go against Val, he's just just loud for no reason. But when Bucky's kind of like, I need you guys to help me go against Val, and he's like, yes, yes, like he's he's just loud for no reason. But it's so funny because it's just funny the way David Harbour does it. It's hilarious. And I don't think they picked a better cast for this movie. I don't think they could have picked anyone better. Everyone in this movie, I felt like they did their due diligence. I do think, yeah, we could have seen more from each character. Yes, I think again with more time we would have, but I think from the time that we had, this just kind of sets us up to seeing more. And like I said, with the post credit scene, what we know, there's so many different avenues that could go with the new Avengers team. Again, maybe setting up a second civil war between the new Avengers and the Avengers. Who knows? What if, and think about this, what if the Fantastic Four sides with the new Avengers and the Avengers and the X-Men team sides with Sam's Avengers? Imagine that scenario for a moment. Just imagine that. Team Sam, Team Bucky. Imagine the discussions online people would have. It would be Steve and Tony all over again. And I think that's what makes it so fun, is that there is a possibility of that happening. I thought they were going to change it to Dark Avengers and not New Avengers. I thought so too. I'm not gonna lie. That was like the first thing. I was like, the first name they're gonna do is like Dark Avengers. I was like, it would make sense, especially for these characters. But maybe they felt like Dark Avengers would just be a little bit too. Maybe they felt like the Dark Avengers would be like, oh, I don't know if I want to trust these Dark Avengers. Which also shout out to the end credits for having a bunch of like real life publicists from different media pages, like saying like, oh, the B Avengers, or what happened to the real Avengers, or these are not my Avengers, and stuff like that that you see in the end credits. It's so funny that they got them into that, but it just adds more nuance to the outside thought of how some people may feel about this new Avengers team. Because some people may be like, you know what, I like this Avengers team. But then there may be some people who are like, these aren't the Avengers I know. I don't know about them. So it just adds further discussion. And like I said, I thought it was really bold. And I didn't know they were going to do this. But like I said, I think it's very bold that they did a time skip 14 months after the events of Thunderbolts. I thought it was very interesting and bold for them to do that, because now it kind of catches us up to speed. So that would make sense for Daredevil Born Again season 2 to potentially be around that 14th month time frame, you know? So Fantastic Four, that probably happens again during that 14-month time frame, but we see them arrive after that 14 months. So there's a lot of projects that we're probably going to see this year moving forward that will be within that 14-month time frame. And we're going to probably hear more and more about the new Avengers through this new project. We might see some news clippings of the newest Avenger team, the new Avengers they call themselves, or Can we trust the new Avengers? Are the new Avengers really the Avengers team? Where the heck are the real Avengers? Like, there's so many Easter eggs that we could potentially see in other Marvel projects that are coming out this year and next year leading into Doomsday that could just add references to the events of this movie. Now, they set it all up. Yeah, yeah, and talking about the Infinity Stones, I definitely want to bring up this theory because I still think the Infinity Stones might have some doing with Doomsday. I don't know how, but obviously in Secret Wars, we in the comic, T'Challa uses the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, that's something that happens. So I definitely do feel like the Infinity Stones, although it's been kind of in Loki, they played it up as a joke that the Infinity Stones are used as paperweights. But I still think the Infinity Stones still have some implications, even after Endgame, towards all Doomsday and Secret Wars. I still have that feeling that they are still involved in some way. Yeah, I just after the New Avengers, it just gets me so excited to just think about all the possibilities of things that could happen, during this period, during phase 6, because I think we're in phase 6 of Marvel now. Thunderbolts, I believe, starts off phase 6. So apparently there's an untitled movie for next year in November. I'm hoping it's Doctor Strange. I would love Doctor Strange 3. So they can maybe do like the time runs out storyline. But they might do maybe a chunk of time runs out in Doomsday, and then maybe they might continue it with Doctor Strange 3. I think that would be cool. I don't know if that's what they are going to do, but I would like to see that. I don't know. What do you guys think that untitled Marvel film in November is going to be? There's one for February too, but I don't know if anything's going to make that date or not. It doesn't seem likely that it will. Also, we got, Spider-Man Brand New Day is next year. Still set for July. That might change. It might get pushed back. We'll have to see because reports are saying that that movie doesn't start filming until uh, well, August. It's kind of late if you ask me to start filming. I honestly thought that they were going to either start this later this month or next month, but they're starting in August. Now that could change. It depends on the schedule, because I believe Tom and Zendaya they are filming the Odyssey. I think Zendaya is in the Odyssey, or I think Zendaya is filming for Dune 3, because I think Dune 3 does start filming. I think either later this month or next month. So yeah, but according to Brie Larson, she has an announcement on Thursday. So she has an announcement on tomorrow. We'll find out what that announcement is. Rather, it's her being in Doomsday or her, maybe being in another movie. That's something we'll have to see. But she was asked recently about, is Captain Marvel gonna appear in Doomsday? And she said, like, I can actually pull it up right now. Actually, pull it up right now because I don't want to misquote what she said, but I remember I remember them saying, "Oh, we got some news on the Batman." Oh, but this is from the N. Snyder, though. I don't trust anything the N. Snyder says. Apparently, according to the N. Snyder, now take this with a grain of salt, because the N. Snyder has not been accurate with a lot of things. According to him, the Batman 2 reportedly begins filming March 2026 in London. So they'll start filming the Batman Part 2 in March of next year. According to him, but again, that may or may not be true. That's something we'll have to see. But I thought I would share that breaking news. Streets are saying the remainder of Avengers Doomsday cast could be. Streets are saying the remainder of the Avengers Doomsday cast could be revealed tomorrow. Okay, so that's what Thomas was talking about earlier. Thomas, I don't know if you're still here or not. I don't know if you're still here. That's what you were talking about. So you said, so the rumor is that they're going to be doing another chair watch for the remainder of the Avengers Doomsday cast. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be really interesting. I wish I had the equipment. Like, I would stream for that. Like, I really would. I would stream for that with you guys. I mean, I could, in all fairness, do like a watch thing, but I wouldn't be able to show it unless I find out a way. Unless I found out another way of how to do it. That's the only way. But let me go on discussing film, because I'm gonna go back to what Brie Larson said. Let's see. I gotta type in. Let's see, Brie Larson. Let's see, what was it? Oh, Brie Larson is going to be attending Comic Con. Okay, that's interesting. She's going to be attending Comic Con. Okay, here it is. It says that Brie Larson is seemingly teasing her return as Captain Marvel in Avengers Doomsday. She says, and I quote, "Now it's time for a new chapter. More on that Thursday." Okay, so there we go. Time for a new chapter. More on that Thursday. And with there being rumors out there that there could potentially be another chair watch for Avengers Doomsday or some kind of announcement for Doomsday for the rest of the cast, that would definitely line up with what she said. So it seems like we will have to stay tuned on Thursday. If that's the case, then I can't do a stream tomorrow because it would depend on the time of when I would have to do the stream tomorrow. But if I'm able to do a stream tomorrow about the chair watch, if we get the remaining cast for Avengers Doomsday, then I definitely will, try to set that up so we can talk about that and kind of go over the cast as a whole, what we could expect for Avengers Doomsday. So just stay tuned. Just stay tuned if that is the case. If that is the case, just stay tuned. I'll let you guys. I'll verify you guys on that. But yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I don't see anything else at the moment. You guys saw my X-Men. Katie, you said, wait, hold up. They're adapting the Odyssey? Heck yeah, bro. That's one of my favorite books. Apparently, it's Christopher Nolan. Yes, Christopher Nolan. He is going to be doing the Odyssey. They've been filming for it for some time now. They're still filming for it now. Tom Holland's in there. Yes, there's a star-studded cast for the Odyssey. There's like a lot of big names that's going to be in this movie. There's been some set images out there. It looks really cool. It looks really cool. I like learning about uh is I believe Odyssey is Greek mythology, right? I may be wrong about that. I might be wrong about that. Was it on, let's see. John Burt. Okay, so we have the cast right here. We have Tom Holland, Matt Damon, Zendaya. So Zendaya is also going to be in that as well. John Bernthal, Ellen Page, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, Maya Goff. Yeah, this is a star-studded cast in the Odyssey. Lupita Nyong'o, Corey Hawkins. Like, yeah, it's a star-studded cast in the Odyssey. So that's definitely going to be one of the movies next year. I'm definitely wanting to go see because I love learning about mythology, Norse mythology, Greek mythology, all of that. Like I'm very much interested into all of that. So definitely looking forward to the Odyssey. But yeah. Yes, it's true. It was Greek mythology by an ancient poet, Homer. I really like Matt Damon too. Yeah, Matt Damon, yeah, very, very great actor. I believe I watched a movie with Matt Damon in it recently. Let's see, what movie was that I watched recently from Matt Damon? Obviously, Interstellar, masterpiece. Love that movie. Ford versus Ferrari, very much enjoy that movie. What was it? The Martian. That's the one I watched. The Martian. I had not seen The Martian before, so that was my first time watching it, and I really enjoyed that film. It's a really good film. It's on Netflix. I definitely suggest that one. Really good film. But yeah, Greek mythology, that's my thing right there. That is my thing right there. You know, people love Harry Potter. I've never been like a Harry Potter fan. I respect Harry Potter, as a franchise and like as a property. So I'll never take away from Harry Potter. But Percy Jackson, that's my cup of tea right there. Percy Jackson, I love the Percy Jackson books. I haven't read all of the recent ones, but I have read like the first three. And so, with Percy Jackson having his own show on Disney Plus, although I do feel like the first season was just a little bit underwhelming, just a little bit, but I have a feeling that season two is going to be better. So, just knowing what I know about the books and some of what happens in Percy Jackson and kind of hearing about what we could potentially see in season two gets me really excited. Also, season three, they're planning on filming season three in July. So wow, they're doing a quick track on these Disney shows. They're not doing like a slow thing where we wait, 2 to 3 years for a new season of a show. They're really getting into it now, so I'm glad. And that was what Brad Winterbaum said a while ago, and I talked about it in one of my videos. He said that the plan for Marvel Television is that they want to have an annual season each year. So, like X-Men 97, each year gets a new season. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man gets a new season. Daredevil Born Again gets a new season. If it calls for it. Like I said, if they greenlight a new season. So, that's a good plan. That's how it should have been from the beginning. But I'm glad that Marvel kind of saw like, okay, we can't run these shows like movies because I feel like that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to make each show into a cinematic 45 minute to 30-minute movie. And it just doesn't work that way cuz television and movies operate completely different. So that was their first time. And it sounded like they really didn't want to do the Marvel television thing at first, but and I understand it, but I think that them reintroducing Marvel Television just gives them the opportunity to tell stories that they're not going to be able to tell in, a full length movie. They can do that on the side. And I know Kevin Feige has said that he doesn't want the Marvel projects to feel like homework because he knows that it does feel that way. And I'll give a two side perspective to that. I'll give a two sides perspective. I think in the comic book world, in some degree in the comic book world, I say that in a way you kind of have to do your research. Say for example, you want to know why Daredevil is fighting Spider-Man. Well, hey, go back to issue 16 of The Amazing Spider-Man, where Daredevil and Peter Parker fought because the ringmaster manipulated Daredevil, right? Like, they want you to go back, reread that, and kind of get a gist of how that all transpired, right? So with a Marvel movie, if a Marvel movie has like the Winter Soldier attacking, you know, the head of Hydra, right? Someone may be like, okay, where did this come about? Well, let's go back to the first Avenger, Captain America: First Avenger. Let's go back to Iron Man. Let's go back to, all these movies, right? And people more and more over time, they go watch the movies, watch the shows. And for some people, they may feel like, well, dang, I did all this just to kind of figure out like why this happened in the first place. For some people, they like that. But then for others, they're kind of like, this is kind of a lot to do. So it's got to be a balance. They got to figure out a way to balance it. But again, I will say that for me, I don't see it as homework per se because it just kind of gets you going back to watching certain things and kind of pointing out like, well, hey, I didn't notice that before, but now that I notice that, that's interesting. I wonder if that will come back up later. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It just all depends. But honestly, if Kevin Feige feels like Marvel is becoming more of homework, then I respect it. I understand. If it's going to make the product better on the staff, but also the viewers, then I say go for it. But for me personally, it never really felt like homework to me because all it did was just refresh me into what I didn't think about, years on end from, some of the movies and stuff and be like, wait a minute, I didn't think about that before. I didn't notice that before. So that's all it does for me. Like, I know they had like a list of like Black Widow, Falcon and Winter Soldier, you know, stuff like that for the Thunderbolts. And in a way, you kind of, for some people, they had not watched those projects. But I think what makes the Thunderbolts work so well was that even if you didn't watch those shows, you can still kind of get a little gist of what's been going on. And I think that banter with them being locked up in the lab kind of did it did the movie a big favor because now it's kind of like, hey, we're acknowledging that John Walker was once Captain America, but he lost his mind, so he's not Captain America anymore. We're kind of learning about, Ghost and with the Pym particles and how that, turned out with her, right? So they kind of reference these things here and there. Sometimes people can catch up on it, sometimes people don't. And it's not like you have to spill out the entire thing for people. But I think just having that bit of banter, it kind of helped people get them to speed as far as we haven't seen these characters in some time. What happened with them? What's going on? And I just think it flowed really well, that scene with them, their first introduction with that fight. And so I hope they do more of that kind of thing with future Marvel projects where it doesn't feel like people have to go and do homework if they don't want to. Again, I don't mind doing it. I don't have a problem because I'm so much of a fan of the Marvel, grandiose thing, so I don't mind. But for the casual viewers who may not have seen every show or don't have Disney Plus to watch all of the shows, it just gives them that background knowledge going into these films. I haven't heard of Percy Jackson before. I just looked it up now. I need to check it out, a book or a show of this for real. Yeah, Percy Jackson is really good. Really good. If you like Greek mythology, you like the Greek gods and goddesses, and you like to see a story of fantasy within that, I think you'll enjoy Percy Jackson. I really do. I think you'll enjoy Percy Jackson. I think you'll enjoy the book, and I think you'll enjoy the show. The movie that they had a while ago, although it's a cult classic, I don't think it's an accurate depiction of Percy Jackson. But again, it's that nostalgic thing, that it's just one of those movies that came out at a time where it feels nostalgic when you watch it. So it's kind of like, this is cool when we had it, but it isn't Percy Jackson. So you can still kind of appreciate it for that factor. But I think the show is a lot better, in my opinion, when it comes to the Percy Jackson lore of things. But I do feel like the show just restricted itself just a little bit, going a little bit deeper into the lore. But I think with season two, and again, from what I've heard about season two, they're going to go all into the lore of Percy Jackson. So I have good faith and good hope about season two. I really do. But yeah, that's a good question. Do you see Earth 838 coming back? I definitely could see Earth 38 coming back in some capacity. I definitely could see that. And obviously, John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic got, noodled away, I guess you could say. And, we know what happens to all the other characters. But what I will say is, I think there's a possibility of another Reed Richards out there that is a John Krasinski variant. I am a believer in that. I think they want to set up the Council of Reeds. It would be cool to see the Council of Reeds. Seeing as that's like one of the interesting things about Secret Wars. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see it, but I'm excited if we do see it. I'm excited. It's just a matter of, again, what they plan to do with, you know, a Doomsday and Secret Wars as a whole. I'm trying to see if there's anything on Twitter. If there's like any breaking news or something, or maybe a little bit more report on this. Oh, they have a new standee for Fantastic Four. Oh, that's cool. It's the same poster what we've seen before, but it's a standee. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys this. I don't mind it being backwards, but I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't know if you can, but there you go. It's backwards, but you guys can see we have the standee. There's standees being put up for Fantastic Four, so that's a good sign. That's a good sign. We're getting closer to the movie. I believe we are how many days away from Fantastic Four? Let's look at, let's see, how many days until July 25th? We have 70, so we're literally 79 days until Fantastic Four. And then how many days until Superman? We're 65 days until Superman. Also, there is a Peacemaker Season 2 trailer that's set to come out this Friday. So if there is, I will be doing a reaction to Peacemaker Season 2 to the trailer. So look out for that. if there's a trailer for Ironheart, although I'm very skeptical on Ironheart. I don't know how to feel about the show yet, but I'm still gonna give it a chance. I'm still gonna watch it, see, if I like it. If I don't, it's fine. I'm still gonna check it out, try to see, just kind of give my own thoughts on Ironheart and whatnot. Also, Superman. I'm hearing words of a Superman trailer coming this month. I don't know. It's not concrete, it's not confirmed, but I have been hearing word of a Superman trailer coming out this month. So yeah, I'm really curious. Let's see. I'm trying to see if maybe there's anything else on here. I don't see anything else. Apparently, there's a rumor going around about Thor 5. It says that Thor 5 is rumored to be in the works. Chris Hemsworth is said to be pushing Sam Hargrave from Extraction to replace Takai Waititi. That's what a rumor is saying. So how do you guys feel about that? Would you guys prefer Sam Hargrave to direct Thor 5 if Thor 5 was to happen? I definitely would like to hear your thoughts on that. It's so cool that Fantastic Four standee though. It's really cool. See what you guys are saying. You guys have any more comments? I don't think you guys are saying anything else as of right now. I don't really see anything else going on right now. I kind of hope the new Thor isn't all just comedy, though. It'd be nice. Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen Thor being, comedic enough. He can have some comedic chops every now and then, but I think it would be nice to just have a Thor who's just all about business. I am the mighty Thor. I think we need that, more than ever right now. So it'd be nice to just kind of go to seeing Thor just being a powerful force, you know what I mean? So I hope that if Sam Hargrave is if if they get him to direct it, I hope they just go a different direction and vibe and tone for Thor. I just think that Thor Love and Thunder kind of it washed the taste of Thor out of a lot of people's like mouths, and I just feel like it just left a bad taste. Thor Ragnarok, it was a fun movie and it worked, but I think Thor Love and Thunder, one of the biggest problems is that there was too much comedy within that film, and the villain just there was so much potential with the villain, and I just feel like the villain just wasn't able to really reach its full potential. And I think Thor Love and Thunder would have been a better movie if it would have been I definitely feel like it would have been a better movie if they had just kind of held it back a bit and maybe released it like right after Thunderbolts. I don't know why, but I just felt like Thor: Love and Thunder would have maybe been a better movie with a better script and a better direction. I think if it would have released right after Thunderbolts, well, New Avengers, I think it would have been interesting. The implications of Thor, what would he have been up to after all this time? You know, him probably knowing a little bit about the space crisis that's going on right now, you know? Shout out to Carson. Thank you, Carson, for sharing the stream. Let's see. Trying to see if there's like any other reports or anything that we could probably talk about on here. Yeah, 79 days until Fantastic Four. Live action look at the How to Train Your Dragon movie. Hey, what's up, Solomon? Welcome, man. We've been talking about Thunderbolts. We've been talking about some other Marvel stuff as well. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about, you know, the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts, whatever you want to call them. What do you think? What are some of your favorite characters in the movie? What do you think of Sentry? What did you think of the post-credit scenes? All that I'd be down to hear what you thought about it. Do you think Storm will debut in the new Thor? I mean, it's possible, but I see her more debuting in Black Panther than Thor. Although her being a part of the Thor's Corpse, I think that's what they're called. I think that's the group Thor has. Is I believe Storm was a part of that at some point. So if they wanted to bring Aurora in, they could bring it through Thor, but I see them bringing Storm through from Wakanda, through Black Panther, you know. Thunderbolts was pretty solid. All right, well, what would you rank it? Like like out of 10, what would your star ranking be? I don't want to see Evil Reed, the Maker in Secret Wars, or do I see him being a ally? I do want to see Evil Reed, the Maker in Secret Wars. I do see him allying with Doctor Doom. I mean, that's a possibility. You know, they could do a team of villains that Doctor Doom has, like maybe like an evil Captain America, a evil Mr. Fantastic, maybe a evil. Imagine an evil Cyclops or a evil Jean Grey or something like that. Like they could do something like that. Just have a team of mismatched, heroes that their lives went the complete wrong way and they just teamed with Doom. They could do something like that. That's a possibility. Hey, welcome back, Marvel fan. We need a Thor's Corpse animated series. Definitely. Definitely. I'm surprised, and maybe they do have plans for Thor, but I'm surprised there isn't a Thor animated series. I think out of all the characters, Thor would be on the writing room table for an animated series because there's so much they could do with Thor. And again, this isn't any way, bashing CGI or CG effects in films. I understand why they do it. Sometimes it comes off good, sometimes it needs just a little bit more work or just needs more work in general. But I think with animation, with a character like Thor, you can do all of these kind of fun, crazy effects that we haven't seen Thor do before. And it just adds more to the aesthetic, but also just adds more to the authority of Thor that they might not be able to do in a live action setting. So yeah, a Thor animated series or a Thor's Corpse animated series will be cool. Thunderbolts is right near Captain America Winter Soldier. Oh wow. Oh wow. That's a huge step. I mean for me, like Captain America Winter Soldier is still my favorite Marvel movie of all time. I love that movie to death. Black Panther, the first Black Panther's up there. The first Avengers movie, Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's up there for me. It's up there for me. So that movie, Thunderbolts is definitely in my top 10. I think Thunderbolts is definitely in my top 10. It could either be a little bit lower under top 5, it could be maybe higher. That's something I'd have to like think about, but I think Thunderbolts is definitely a top 10 film for me personally. We definitely need a Battle World anime series or movie. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing about this saga is that I wish we had just a little bit more time to dive into just kind of the between effects of stuff like Battle World, right? Like you said, imagine like a Battle World animated series or a Battle World series in general that we just go on and kind of see the day by day of each Marvel character, right? They could do an episode with the X-Men. How are they dealing with Battle World? How's Spider-Man dealing with Battle World? How's Ghost Rider dealing with Battle World? How's all these different characters, how are they taking in Battle World? What are they thinking about? How does them losing to Doom, how does that make them feel, knowing that they lost to Doom, right? Like, I wish they could just do a whole period where they could just focus in on that, and then we could kind of get back into like Secret Wars, like, okay, we're ready. We're ready to take on Doom. You know what I mean? So I definitely wish we had more time in between. That's one thing I'll say about this saga. I wish we just would have had more time with these characters. You know what I mean? Like we had 3 phases. We had phase 4, 5, and 6 so far. But I just feel like we need more time. We need more projects. We need more character development. And I just wish we would have gotten more of that. And Strange Academy animated series. Well, there was talks of a Strange Academy series. There was talks of it. I don't know if it'll be animated, but an animated one would be nice. Okay, I should be back now. Not sure what happened. Not sure what happened there, but I should be back now. Am I good? Are we good? I know the stream kind of stopped for like a second because my phone was reconnecting, but we should be good now. Let me know. Let me know if we're good. Let's see. What is this? DCU updates. They're doing a recreation of All Star Superman cover. Oh, look at this. I'm gonna show you guys this. So you guys know All Star Superman, right? Okay, I'm good. All right, awesome, awesome. Just making sure. I'm just making sure because I just you know don't want to have the stream like mess up and then it's kind of like not working. So I'm good. It's working. So look, we got Superman. apparently for some kind of ice cream. So they are doing promotion for Superman right now as we speak. So it's like, what is it, like cake batter cookie dough? I don't know about cake batter cookie dough. I think that's too OD for me. I like cookie dough. I like chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. That's my favorite flavor of ice cream. For those who didn't know, now you know. I'm a chocolate chip cookie dough fan. But a cake batter cookie dough ice cream, I don't know about that. That's too much for me. That's too much for me. So yeah, but that's cool. The little promotion there. You see Superman there. So again, promotion is kicking in high gear for both Superman and Fantastic Four. I think I think they're gonna do a Little Caesars promotion for Fantastic Four, and the reason why I say that is because Little Caesars is literally in the Fantastic Four trailer. Like we saw Little Caesars in their universe, so I wouldn't be surprised if Little Caesars does like a pizza and it's shaped like a four, or maybe the pepperonis are lined up as a four. I wouldn't be surprised, or they could do a four topping pizza and have all the toppings on the pizza lined up like a to make a four for the Fantastic Four. I'm telling you, they're gonna do some kind of promotion because they didn't have Little Caesars in there for no reason. They're definitely gonna take advantage of that somehow. So don't be surprised if we get a commercial or some kind of announcement of a Fantastic Four and Little Caesars collaboration. For those who are Little Caesars fans or just pizza fans in general, I love pizza. I'm a pizza lover, so uh, you know, I am all for it. And I would buy that pizza just to support the Fantastic Four film. Spider-Man will definitely be part of the Fantastic Four team in Battle World. I would love that because, like I said, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. Let's get that dynamic going. Let's get the Johnny Peter Parker friendship. Let's get that going. You know, Reed and Peter. Let's get that going. Peter and Sue flirting with Peter a little bit. Let's get that going. The Thing and Peter. I mean, there's so many dynamics they can do with just the Fantastic Four in general with Peter. That'd be even funnier. It'd be funny if, and I hope they do it. I hope Sentry and Peter interact in either Doomsday or Secret Wars. Because I think it would be really funny if, you know, Peter Parker made like a joke at Sentry, and then Sentry makes a joke back at Spider-Man, and then it's kind of like, I don't know, just some kind of dialogue between those two. I want to see that. I'm still watching Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, even though the show came out like 6 months ago. Hey, are you rewatching it or you just haven't finished all the episodes yet? But if you're rewatching it, hey, shout out to you. I gotta rewatch it. It's been some time. Oh, speaking of that, I know I haven't gotten around to talking about it ever with you guys, but I wanted to hear what you guys thought about the interview that I did with Jeff Trammell. How did you guys like that interview? Were there any questions that you wanted me to ask Jeff, but maybe I didn't? Let me know because I definitely am trying to. Will try to get him back. He said he wanted to come back for season two. So when season two comes out, potentially next year, I think it will be next year. Let me know, and the next time I'll try to remember those questions for season two, because that's gonna be fun talking with him about season two, especially with all the stuff they set up in the final episode and just even throughout the season. I'm gonna get the Fantastic Four pizza. Yeah, for real. I would get the Fantastic Four pizza if Little Caesars, like I said, do not be surprised if Little Caesar does a collaboration with Marvel on a Fantastic Four pizza. Don't be surprised because again, they didn't product place them in the movie for just for any random reason. Like they have Tide. They've done so many Tide commercials with Marvel. They did one with Brave New World. They did one with Thunderbolts. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Tide commercial for Fantastic Four. Imagine if they do a 60s retro, old school classic commercial, 1960s style for Tide. Like crazily animated. Maybe they have people with the 60s style clothes and hair. The aesthetic and vibe is 60s, and then they say, when you buy Tide, don't forget to check out Marvel Studios Fantastic Four First Steps, you know? Don't be surprised if they do something like that. You know, that's what's big about, these movies. They can do things like that. Both companies can help each other out. And again, they've done collaborations before. I mean, Red Guardian literally had in the post-credit scene so many ad placements on his little jacket that he made with Avengers with a Z that like I said, don't be surprised. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We got the announcement of that Superman ice cream. Shout out to Jordan Jones on Twitter. Says DC Studios and Dairy Queen are officially announcing a new cake batter cookie dough blizzard treat inspired by Superman. It's coming May 26th for a limited time only, and I'm going to show you guys the image as you guys can see right here. That is the thing that was shown earlier. You guys can see it there. Again, I know it's backwards. I guess you guys can kind of see it. But yeah, new ice cream flavor sponsored by the Superman movie. It's like, again, if you think Marvel isn't thinking about some kind of food advertisement for Fantastic Four, I don't know what to tell you. I missed it, but I need to watch it on replay. Yeah, I rewatched it 1,000 times. Really? Awesome, man. Like I said, I gotta rewatch it. It's been a little bit since I've rewatched it. Talk show, I would watch it. I would love to do a talk show. Like I would love to be a late night talk show host, like David Letterman, Obviously Space Ghost, the king of talk show, late night talk show. I would love to do some kind of talk show or a podcast or radio show or something in the future. So who knows? Possibilities are endless. I'm trying to think, what is Norman doing with those animals? Norman's definitely doing some kind of experiments. We saw a lizard, so obviously we're gonna see the lizard come in at some point. Miss Connors is gonna be the lizard. It's gonna happen. So we got that. Who knows? I think, and like I said, I think this would be the perfect opportunity. We already have Chameleon. Why not bring in Craven? I think this would be the absolute perfect opportunity to bring in Craven the Hunter as a villain. I think it would be great to have him in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I really do think it would be great to have Craven. I was talking about the interview. I missed it. I need to watch it on replay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, definitely check out the interview. It's really informative. A lot of great things. Shout out to Jeff Trammell for taking time out of his day, recording that interview with me. I had a great time talking to him about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and stuff. And like I said, he wants to come back on for season 2, so stay tuned when season 2 does drop, because I'll definitely have him back on. I'm trying to get some other interviews with some other people that I'm sure some of you would be pretty excited to have me that I can interview, to have interviewed. So just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. I don't want to announce anything. I don't want to put any hope out there. Just stay tuned. I don't know why I'm doing this to my hat. I'm fixing it. My hair. I have so much hair. This is why I never wear hats. I have so much hair. I still want to see Hulk and Sentry thump it out. Who knows? We might. They just Marvel just needs to work on the Hulk right now because the Hulk. If the Hulk that we got right now in Marvel is going against Sentry, yes, Sentry's winning that with no problem. So they have to fix the Hulk problem first before they have a Sentry. I feel like they need to work on Hulk, building him back up before we see him and Sentry go at it. But I just actually started to rewatch Spider-Man. Really? What do you think about it? Space Ghost is always arguing with that cricket. Yeah, Zorak. Yeah, him and Zorak were always going at it. But it was so funny. Because Zorak, he would just always, for no reason. Sometimes Space Ghost wouldn't even say anything. But Zorak would just want to start stuff with him. And then Space Ghost would just want to antagonize him for no reason too. It's the funniest thing. It is the funniest thing. Like Zorak will find any and every way to annoy Space Ghost if he can. If you were a talk show host, you probably remind me kind of Dick Cavett, since he lets all the guests be themselves and is also interesting and funny himself in the 1960s. Let me check him out. I don't think I've ever heard of him before. Dave. That show. Oh, I've seen him before. Okay, I have seen him before. I just haven't watched his show. So maybe I'll check out his show. It's on Peacock. And it's on Tubi. And a ton of other places that I can check it out. Okay. I might have to check it out. I might have to check it out sometime. I have a long list of things that I'm watching. Yeah, I imagine he shows up. Yeah, for sure. Zorak was hilarious. Yeah, Zorak was just hilarious for no reason of being hilarious. Um, I remember one episode. It was one episode, and is he annoyed the mess out of Space Ghost. I think he left. Like he just left the show. Like Space Ghost didn't even bother to just even stay on the episode. He was just done. And it was so funny. It was so funny. It was so funny that episode. All episodes are funny, but that one I remember just Space Ghost was just done. He was done. Absolutely, Hulk is not in shape. No, he's not. He's not. That's why, and we were joking about this. We were joking about this after watching the movie. You know, Hulk is definitely just he's not in the shape to fight Sentry right now because he's getting Hulk will be handed. He will be handed, and the person giving that out will be Sentry. So I think they need to work on Hulk right now, building him back up. All that yoga and boba tea isn't going to do him any good against Sentry. Yes, sir. I've been on more movies than shows recently, even though I love both. Yeah, I've been watching more movies as of recently. I've been binge watching the Mission Impossible, which I actually got to tell you guys that story. So, you guys know I usually take like a week before any Marvel movie to, stay off the internet because there's a lot of people who will leak stuff and spoil stuff before the movies come out. And it's always a bummer when it happens. So ever since Deadpool and Wolverine, I haven't really been spoiled of any movie or show because I usually stay off the internet the week of a show or a movie that comes out. So for me, all the stuff that I see in real time is really a shock. Like I had no idea that was going to happen. I would have guessed it or predicted it, but seeing it it's just it's a different nature. So for me, luckily the post credit scene, all that stuff did not get spoiled to me, did not get leaked to me. So it felt good to see it and stuff like that. So what I did, staying off the internet that entire week, I watched I watched one of my favorite films, The Magnificent Seven. You guys seen The Magnificent Seven? You got Chris Pratt, Denzel being one of my favorite actors, my all-time favorite actor. You know that movie. Uh, love Magnificent Sevens. One of those great movies. If you're into westerns, you're into cowboys. I think you would enjoy that. And then after that, I decided, Mission Impossible is coming out this month. I said, why not just binge watch all the Mission Impossible movies? They're all on Amazon Prime. I'm sure they're all on Paramount Plus as well, but I watched them all on Amazon Prime, starting from one all the way to the current one. And I got to do a ranking of the movies. But so far, if I were to say what would be my favorite, obviously the first one's iconic. But I think, I think one and six are my favorite because Henry Cavill in six really surprised me. Like obviously Henry Cavill's a great actor, but I liked his role in that film. And that fight with him and Tom Cruise in the bathroom, iconic fight. Iconic fight. Like that's the kind of stuff I feel like Henry Cavill would have done if he had more control of his Superman. Like we would have seen a bit more of that kind of vibe with his Superman, but we didn't. It's unfortunate. We got a new Superman now, and I'm looking forward to the new Superman. But Henry Cavill in Mission Impossible 6 really, really enjoyed. Haley Atwell in 7, I'm really, really interested to see what her role is going to be. Obviously, Vanessa Kirby, we literally have Invisible Woman. Before she was casted, she was in Mission Impossible. So it's really cool seeing her and be like, wow, I'm literally gonna see you in Fantastic Four in like a few months. And I'm sure we'll see her in the newest Mission Impossible movie that's coming out this month as well. So really cool. Really excited to see, that cliffhanger, where we go from there, things like that. So yeah, I binge watched that. So that's pretty much what I did. Are you familiar with the show Hit Monkey? Yes, I am. I did watch Hit Monkey, and that was around the time when Marvel had like a lot of side shows, like Modoc. I remember watching Modoc and completely just laughing all the way through Modoc. It was so funny. And before Modoc was in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, I had hoped that they had gotten the comedian from that to be in, Patton Oswalt. I don't know why I couldn't say his name. Patton Oswalt in, the movie as Modoc. Because I think that would have been funny. Honestly, I think it would have been better. But, uh, so Hit Monkey, that came out around the same time I watched it. I was like, wow, this is like a fresh new idea from Marvel. I had not seen this before. And realized that Hitmonkey is a character in Marvel and didn't even know that. So it was that weird time, obscure time for Marvel where they were releasing shows on Hulu that people might not have known too much about, but if you knew, you knew, so you kind of understood. So yeah, I did watch Hitmonkey. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was really good. Watch Magnificent Seven Sunday. Magnificent Seven is all one of my all-time favorite Western movies. Yeah, yeah, it is a great movie, man. Just a great cast, a great story. It's unfortunate what happens to some of the characters in the movie, but it's still just a really good all-out movie, Western movie. And when I was younger, I wasn't really too into Western movies, but now that I'm older, I'm getting more into that sort of thing because my parents they grew up with westerns. So for them they kind of are into that. But for me, kind of getting into it a little bit now that I'm older, it's kind of like, ooh, interesting. I want to see more of that. I wish all of them would have. I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen Magnificent Seven, but all I'm gonna say is just check it out. Just check it out. It's on Amazon Prime right now, so if you guys have Prime, you can go watch it on there. It is a great movie. It really is. What do you think of Captain Carter? I'm gonna say this. I think Captain Carter is an interesting character, and I like Captain Carter. But I think with What If, my problem with What If is that I felt like we spent too much time with Captain Carter, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just feel like there were so many other characters that and possibilities and realities that we could have seen. And if they wanted to connect Captain Carter to it, fine. Connect it to it towards the end, bring her back, have her assemble a team like the Moon Knight Blade situation, like the Iron Fist and Shang-Chi. All these heroes. Maybe they all have to team together from different universes to fight one big major threat. You know what I mean? Do that. Have all these different animation styles clash and collide together, like how Spider-Verse does it. All the different styles, all the different worlds and realms, you bring them together. Maybe they could have formed a battle world of their own through What If. That could have been a cool concept. Imagine that, right? There's so many different things that I felt like What If could have done better that they just didn't do because it was so limited to the MCU. And I feel like if What If was its own sector, like X-Men 97 and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, granted, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man takes place in a sister MCU timeline, obviously there's still a lot of things they can do in that show that What If could not do. So I feel like if What If had that same freedom to pick and choose different characters, Marvel characters that maybe we have seen before or haven't seen before, they could build something very new and fresh and kind of freeing to that. So, to answer your question, I like Captain Carter. I have no problem with Captain Carter. I just feel like they just did way too much with Captain Carter, if that makes sense. I want them to make some Fantastic Four gummies. So like the Flintstone like vitamins. That would be interesting. Like some Flintstone vitamins, but instead of it being the Flintstones, it's Fantastic Four. Who knows? Maybe in that universe they do have something like that. Since in their universe, the Fantastic Four are like the big heroes. There aren't any other heroes. There's no Spider Man. There's no Avengers. There's no X Men. It's just them. So maybe they do have like a Flintstones version of their of gummy vitamins or gummy candy, but it's just Fantastic Four themed. Yeah, if Hulk were to fight Sentry, yeah, for sure. That's why I say like They gotta build Hulk up because this Hulk, oh no. Oh no, no. You guys want to see a beatdown? You guys don't want to witness Hulk getting beat down because if Hulk gets beat down by Sentry, Hulk is done. Hulk is done. There's no redeeming him. In my opinion, I just wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't find it believable. So that's why I say like, yeah, that fight would be cool, but I say hold off. Give Hulk his edge back. Give him his angry back. Make him the green mean machine again. Then we can go from there. But yeah, if you guys have any more comments or anything, let me know. I'm probably gonna end the stream in like a couple minutes. Had a great time talking with you guys. It's awesome to do these streams always and talk Thunderbolts and New Avengers and Fantastic Four and Sentry and just a ton of stuff. Like I said, if this Avengers Doomsday Chair Watch is happening tomorrow, best believe I will do a stream somehow, some way. I don't know what time. It might be a little late, but I will try to do a stream so we can talk about that chair watch if it does happen. If so, I'll let you guys know. I'll probably notify you guys before we even know anything about it. I might even share if there is a stream. I'll probably just share the stream on my community page so you guys will know and then you can check it out if you want. And then like I said, we can discuss it afterwards. Things like that. So again, we'll find out. Hey, Marvel fan. Hey, all good, man. I appreciate you coming in the stream. I appreciate you coming in every time, supporting the page. Everybody, man. You guys are awesome. You guys are phenomenal. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now without you guys. So I'm always appreciative. Keep up the good work. Keep up the grind. God bless you. Oh, God bless you too, man. God bless you too. God bless all y'all, man. I mean that. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I know we're all going through stuff right now. I know it's hard, but keep going. Just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll be all right. Hey, you too. Stay safe. Peace, man. But yeah, if you guys have anything else left to say, I'm gonna check Twitter just one more time because I feel like we might get some news on something else, and if we do, I kind of just want to display it just a little bit, just in case. Let's see what we got here. Well, that's cool. Look at this. Jeff Chamel, he retweeted someone. Two friends did a cosplay. One is a cosplay of Peter Parker and Nico. From Your Friendly Neighbor Spider-Man. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna try to show it to you guys. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? If not, I'll try to. Hold on. Can you guys see that? Really cool cosplay. I love seeing stuff like that. I love seeing stuff like that. So it's really cool to see that. I wanted to make the homemade suit. I said I was gonna do a video on that. I don't have the stuff for it though, but that's definitely a video I would do in the future if you guys are interested in seeing me create the homemade suit from Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I would be down to do that. I don't know much about making clothes, but I can learn. I can learn, so yeah. That's cool. They got textless versions of the GTA 5 promotion art. This is really cool. Really cool. I love seeing people do stuff like that, cosplay and stuff. Yeah, it's really well done. Shout out to them. I'm gonna go ahead and retweet that. Let me go ahead and retweet that. There we go. Yeah, I guess that's all the news. I guess that's all the news, I think. Looks like it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, looks like that's all the news right there. So, I'm gonna end the stream here. I had a great time with you guys. I had a great time with everybody that came in, came through. Even if you just listened, I appreciate you coming through, spending time and stuff. Like I said, if we get anything Doomsday related tomorrow, if there is a chair watch, I will be doing a stream to discuss it. I don't know when, but it'll probably be late in that day, depending upon when that Mafia, the Old Country panel for PAX ends. And then I could probably try to quick load up a stream if we get any info on the rest of the cast for Doomsday, and we can talk about it and stuff like that. So again, we'll see. So again, thank you guys so much. Had fun talking about Thunderbolts, aka the new Avengers. So for those of you on the replay, if you're just watching this, if you haven't, definitely go check out my Thunderbolts review. I have a spoiler review out there. I did a non-spoiler section, but I also have the spoiler section as well. So definitely go check that out. Show that some love. I want to try to get that. Let's try to get that one to 1,000 views. I know that's a big order. I know not everybody checks out the Marvel content, but I know the people that are in here in the stream. If we could get that to 1,000 views, get some likes on it, things like that, it'd be greatly appreciated. But just whatever you decide to do, even if we don't get to that, I appreciate everyone that takes the time out of their day to check out the videos and stuff like that. Again, it keeps me motivated to keep going, things like that. Uh, Peacemaker, if there's a trailer on Friday, which it sounds like there will be, I will be reacting to it over here. So look forward to that. Yeah, I think that's it. So as I always say, thank you guys so much. Guys have a goal, guys have a dream, go for it, do it, do it better than anything you could ever imagine, and I promise you, everything else will work out in your favor, and everything will be all good. Also, if this movie hasn't taught you anything, know that wherever you're going through, you're not alone. And with the dream team, you're not alone. And whatever you're going through, we're right here for you. We got you. So yeah. That being said, big love to you all. Thank you for checking out the stream. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, all of them if you can, because you get sourced to all my content from that way. But yeah, I got all my socials down here too if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Twitch, even though I don't stream on Twitch, but maybe I will in the future. Just depends. But yeah, I'm rambling, yapping way too much. Anyway, let me check and make sure there's no comments left. Sorry, man, I'm cutting out just a little bit. So, new Gardeners of the Multiverse. Yeah, I could definitely see a Gardeners of the Multiverse. My hands are all in the camera. Why am I doing that? It makes sense too, dude. This is a great show today, Jace. I'll try to message you again, but my apps on my phone were bugging. I'll try from my computer, bro. Thanks for the stream again. You are a legend. I will continue and will continue to prosper. You guys are the real legends. I'm just the messenger, man. You guys are the real legends here. I'm no legend. I'm no legend, but I appreciate the compliment. I do. So yeah, with that being said, big love to you all, and peace out.